start regarding?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. I could see that one coming. Okay, very good. So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon where I am. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful world of ours. And welcome to session 6 of the NLP course. Hello, everybody. Now, I don't know exactly how many of you are here because you've been here before and you want to learn some more, or how many of you are actually here because for the first time. So I'm just quickly going to introduce myself in a very quick way. So I am a teacher of languages. That's my basic training. That's what I trained at university to become. And but along the way, I decided that I needed tools to help my students who I could see were bright students. They had a wonderful IQ, but their emotions were in the way of them being able to fulfill their full potential, or what I could see was their full potential. But I felt I didn't have the tools to help them. So I went on a quest to find tools that I could help them with. And like it very often happens when you start on a quest for tools to help people emotionally or mentally, depending on the point of view, what happened was that I suddenly found myself actually taking care of my emotional well-being. So unearthing a lot of unprocessed stuff and working on myself first and foremost. So I went through a lot of training, of which you've got some of the most relevant training that I did here. Namely, I trained as a master practitioner in NLP with one of the founders of NLP, Richard Bandler. Then not so long ago, I actually trained with a wonderful trainer, Dick Harbour's coach, an Australian coach, that came up with a branch of NLP, which he called quantum healing. And then I did a post-graduation in coaching. It was the first post-graduation in coaching in my country, Portugal. And actually before that, I had trained as a neuro-language coach, which is a methodology to teach languages that brings together neuroscience and coaching to actually achieve what is considered to be an optimal learning journey. I've already got beautiful comments in the beautiful statements in the comments. So thank you so much for that. I also missed you, Paris. I don't know where you were last week. So I did miss you, and it's beautiful. I'm happy that you're here today. So let me go back one slide. Before that, I'm actually going to ask everybody to keep your mics muted, please, okay? Because if your mics are not muted, I will have trouble. I will have trouble keeping my train of thought. I must admit, I do. I'm not very good at multitasking. So I really, really need to, as I'm speaking, I need the mics to be muted so that I don't lose my train of thought. So if you could do that for me, I would really, really appreciate it. Very good. Now, so I wanted to go back one slide. Don't know why this is not allowing me to go back one slide. Okay, very good. So I want to share with you what today's session is all about. It's actually be very packed session because we were supposed to have 8 sessions of this course, and we had the need of downsizing the course for 7 sessions. So I had to make it a little bit more compact. So we're not just going to talk about timelines today. Okay, I'll do my best to divide the time between timelines and something which I love working with and which is so important in personal development, which is disempowering beliefs or beliefs, which some people also call limiting beliefs. I actually call them disempowering beliefs. Do they limit us? Yes, it's a fact. I can say that they don't. Okay, so again, just a reminder for people who are just joining to keep their mics muted, okay, to help me not losing my train of thought. Right, so we've already, I said so just a while ago that I already had like a question in the chat box, which I'm going to read quickly so that people know exactly what I'm talking about. So someone asked me, please let us know a general method for treating the untreatable chronic ailments like diabetes, cancer, arthritis, and cancer mentioned again, but thank you. So what I really want to say is bear with me, okay? Because what we're going to do today, to a certain extent, is going to address that question. And at one point, I'll do my best to remember to come back to this topic. Okay, so I guess who the person that is asking me this question is actually was probably here in the previous session or watched the session. So I believe this question is coming from that. Maybe I'm wrong. Right. So, and someone is asking me for a list of NLP books. I do believe that I've already given a list of NLP books. So I'm going to ask for the list to be for that list to be made available for the participants. Okay, because I've already given the list with the books that I do believe are the ones that require, the books which I believe are the basic ones, the ones that it's a good idea for you to read if you want to find out a little bit more about NLP. Right, so let's get started because there's lots of things to do today. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at timelines from a pure NLP way. So when I say pure NLP, is like NLP as taught by Richard Bandler, one of the co-founders of NLP, the one that I trained with, but also of late we're kind of going from pure NLP to quantum healing, which, as I explained in the previous session, is a branch of NLP. Okay, so it's got the same basis, but it takes the NLP forward. For me, it's a much deeper process. Then we're going to talk about what timelines are and what they're for, and then we're going to move on to working with beliefs. And there I'm going to explain to you what it's meant by, well, the importance of beliefs, and we're going to talk about empowering and disempowering beliefs. And then along the way, we will also do a belief update. And like our previous session where I talked to my understanding, actually too much. This session, I'm going to talk some, but we're going to have some some practical exercises as well, the way I like it. Okay. Just a reminder again that I am an international speaker. I'm Portuguese, okay, and therefore I don't speak Urdu, and I'm using English, which is the international language for communication, and I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, when you've got someone who's an international speaker, it comes with the territory, okay? Very good. Now, let's carry on. This is the founder I've already mentioned. Okay, good. So what you can see in this slide is my attempt to kind of let you know what is usually understood as a timeline. Okay, so you're probably aware of these kind of timelines, but definitely we use timelines in the NLP sense. And what is exactly a timeline in the NLP sense? To a certain extent, is something along these lines, meaning it's a line that connects our past, at the very least, our moment of birth, to the present, and will carry on into the future for as long as we are here on this beautiful planet of ours. And what are timelines for in NLP terms? So timelines are very much related to the way that we code, we process time. Okay, it's related to the way we think and the way we feel about time, past, present, and future. Okay, and what exactly is the relevance of that? Well, the relevance of that is actually helping us making sense of the world, of our life, past, the way the past somehow interferes with the present or informs the present, and how it also informs the future, right? It's a little bit like, usually, sometimes people ask me, why do we have to study history? And what I usually ask people is, how do we understand where we are if we don't know where we're coming from? Okay. And how do we know where we're going if we don't have an idea of what the past was like that brought us here to this moment, so, and will allow us to make decisions regarding the future. Okay, it's a continuum, so to speak. So that's the relevance of timelines. Now, someone is asking me, is there any written slide of the topics? Yes, I've just shared it before I started this, well, at the beginning of the session. So we're going to talk about timelines, which is what I'm doing right now. And after timelines, we're going to talk about beliefs and the importance of beliefs. And we're also going to do quite a bit of practical exercises. Okay. Now, what else is there? Okay. So let me see. Now, what is the difference between the way that NLP works with timelines and pure NLP and quantum healing? So if you probably now, you might have been getting a little bit tired of hearing me saying that map is not territory, meaning that different people have different experiences of life. So we cannot actually work with everybody in the same way, because people are not necessarily the same. We are the sum of our life experiences. And there's no two people with the exactly same kind of experiences. So we can't really say that there are two people exactly the same, not even twins. to be very honest. And there are many examples of twins which went through certain experiences, but even twins don't have 100% the same experiences. And even if they, in the face of some same experiences, they might not process those experiences in the same way. So at the end of the day, their genetic code might be exactly the same or very, very close to each other, but the way, the way they are might be actually not, it's not 100% one and the same, okay? Because they will process things in their own way, okay? They're not, even maybe two computers might not work exactly the same, although they are from the same brand and the same model, or same make and the same model, okay? So yay, exercise. Yes, there are going to be some very interesting exercises, I promise you. Now, what am I showing here on this slide? The fact that timelines can also be different, whereas in NLP, usually it's pure NLP only mentions two types of timelines. It's either or. In quantum healing, we don't say what timelines are like in the way that people perceive them, because different people might have different representations of their timelines, okay? And I don't want to go too far before I actually take someone through an exercise with their timeline. So if you look here, we have a straight timeline, and here we have a curvy timeline, and here we have one which I don't even know exactly, it's it chop and changes as it goes along, okay? So we have different timelines, and mind you, whatever it's written there, it's not the point. The point has to do with the visual representation of the timeline, okay? I wanted to give you an idea that even online you can find different representations of timelines, okay? And that's what quantum healing understands. That's what my master, my trainer, understood when working with people, that actually some people didn't have the sort of timelines that NLP, the pure NLP talks about, which is either or, and I'll show you what it is. Again, I don't want to plant any seed in your mind at the moment, because when taking someone through the process, I want it to be authentic, okay, spontaneous, not with something in mind. After I do the exercise, then I'll explain exactly what I'm saying right now, okay? So I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the point where I'm going to ask for a volunteer. So do I have a volunteer to show what the way that we work with timelines? If you would like to volunteer to work with me, which I would really, really appreciate, people just, please just raise your hand, and I'll be glad to work with you. Do I have any volunteer? Would someone like to? Oh, we have a volunteer. Now let me see if I can find this hand up. Where is this hand up? So I'm not sure I can pronounce your name, and I'm so sorry about that, but it's Shanaz, is it?
Shahnaz Rana.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much for helping me. Audio could also work, yes.
Shahnaz, can you अपना mic on कर लें?
This is the moment that I need you to unmute yourself, if you don't mind. Paras, you're a must. Okay, there are going to be more exercises, so stay tuned, because there will be more exercises, okay? And some very interesting ones. Okay, so Shanaz, are you ready? Are you unmuted? Can you talk to me, please? Let me know that you can hear me and allow me to hear your voice.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, ma'am. Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. And your voice is coming loud and clear. I can hear you perfectly. So good, 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 because that's very good for the work that we're going to do. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
very good. And thank you for volunteering to working with me and giving everybody in this call the chance of understanding how timelines work in quantum healing. Okay, I'm going to give you the perspective of quantum healing, although there's a part which is pretty much the same between pure NLP and quantum healing. So it's the same process, but then at some point they're not the same. Okay, they're different. And after the exercise, I'll make sure to tell you up to what point it was the same and where we changed into quantum healing and we took it a step further, as we always do in quantum healing. Okay, so Shanaz, let me ask you the following. Let's say that you're thinking about their timeline, and I have a mic which is, okay, there we go. So this is when I really, really need silence so that I can focus on the work that I'm doing, okay? So that I don't lose track of where I am. Right, so the idea is, Shanaz, we want to understand how, at this point, your timeline is organized. So I would like you to think of where you see your past, that past starting, and let's say how you connect that point in the past where that timeline starts to something that happened, let's say 5 years ago. Okay. And then, okay, and then connecting to something that happened, let's say, a year ago. Okay. And then let's say connecting to something that happened 6 months ago, 1 month ago, and coming to the present. When you think of that line that connects that starting point to something that happened 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, a month ago, and coming into the present, where is that timeline? What's its position?
Position mean in what sense, ma'am? In visualization, imagination.
Exactly.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, the 5 years ago, it's all the time of my struggle. And when I see that, even when I see the timeline, I always find in myself in a traffic.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. And where is the traffic in relation to your body?
In traffic, that how I progress and how I completed my journey of my struggle in education, because I completed my education after marriage, after my 2 kids. So it was a period of my struggle. So I found and I can visualize all timeline in a imagination and visualization of a traffic. How 5 years ago, it is very messy. It is very there is very rush.
Sorry to cut in, but let's stay with the timeline where it is in relation to your body. Okay, we don't have to go into the story. We usually don't in quantum healing. What I really want to know is, what does that line look like and where is it in relation to your body? What is the position of that timeline in relation to your body?
What is the position of my body?
Not the position of your body, the timeline in relation to your body.
In actually, ma'am, I'm little bit. Actually, I'm little bit confused. If you
So if you
tell
have to
me
think,
some example, so I can
listen to me,
describe.
listen to me. If you have to think of that traffic line, where is the traffic line in relation to your body?
Eyes.
Go ahead.
In my eyes, here.
Where is it coming from? Is it coming from behind, to your left, to your right? Where is it?
It's around.
Okay, very good. So it's around what?
Yes, around me. I'm.
Okay, very good. Got it. Completely got it. Completely got it. Where is your present in relation to your body? Where exactly is your present?
Okay. I'm present. I'm on a space where is when we completed a journey after a long.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is that point? Where is the point? The present? Is it inside your body, outside your body, in front of you, behind you?
No, it's outside of my body.
Where exactly? At what level?
It's a front of my body.
Okay, very good. Okay. And now let's imagine that line which will connect the present wherever the present is in relation to your body. You'll know better than myself where it is exactly, okay? What the position of the present is in relation to your body. I know that it's outside your body. Okay, let's imagine that line connecting to a time a month from now, and then a year from now, and then 5 years from now, and then going all the distance into your future.
In relation with my body?
Yes. Where is that? Where are you seeing that timeline? That future timeline. Where is the future timeline?
Future timeline is
so the past is around you, the present is in front of your body.
Under. It's all thing is under.
Under. Okay.
Below. Below.
I get it. So tell me something. Below what exactly?
I'm on top.
Okay.
And below. Everything, every situations and the surroundings are the below of myself.
Okay, and what is the shape of that future timeline? So we know that the past is around you, so it's
spherical. It's a spherical.
It's spherical. Is that it?
Like spherical, and I'm out of this.
Okay, like what? Give me a comparison, please. Spherical, like what?
Like spherical, like a bubble, like a balloon, and I'm out of it.
So you're on top of the balloon, is that it?
Aside.
Ah, so it's below what exactly? So you said it was below?
Yes, before it was, but when I am focusing, it's aside and out, and I am outside, and all the situations are in a shape of a spherical or bubble balloon type
of thing. Okay, may I ask you, if you said you're aside, to what side exactly is that balloon in relation to your body?
Is relation to my body. I'm a right side.
So you're to the right side of the balloon, is that it?
Yes.
So that means that your balloon is on the left side, correct?
Left, yes.
Wow. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay, very good. So now what I would like you to imagine, not exactly necessarily imagine, what I want you to tell me is, in relation to your body, if someone were to be in front of you, how far would that person would have to be for you to feel comfortable? Give me an idea of how far the person would have to be in front of you that you would feel comfortable.
In front of me, it can be a distance of like a table when we conference table.
Okay.
when we talk on a topic or a meeting, it will be comfortable.
Okay, good. And how, let's imagine someone to your left-hand side. How far would that person would have to be for you to feel comfortable?
Left side.
Yeah.
On a left side, same distance of a table.
Okay.
Of a conference.
Okay. To your right?
Right is the same, but I don't want to behind of myself anything.
Ah, okay. So let me, but I still need to understand how far the person would have to be behind you for you to feel comfortable.
I feel comfortable when I have behind myself a wall.
Okay. Mm. And now let's say that you, I don't know if you do this, but let's imagine that you are sitting in the park, okay, on the lawn on a sunny day, okay? Is that something you can imagine yourself doing?
Yes.
How far from your feet will someone will have to be for you to feel comfortable?
Not so many distance. It means like when we go in a park, it may be the distance of some feet.
Okay, very good. And let's say that you are going to enter a room, and how far above your head the door has to be, the door frame has to be for you to feel comfortable?
It's not too much high, like 2, it's enough.
Sorry, can you say that again? Because I didn't hear now.
2 feet, it's enough.
Okay,
And
is it more or less than regarding to your the space that the person needs to be in front of your feet for you to feel comfortable?
in a room?
So the space above your head has to be bigger, or is it smaller than the space that you need someone to be in relation to your feet?
Not too much smaller. I would like to be medium height of an entrance of a door.
Okay. Is it fair to say that it's maybe a little bit less than what you need to have the person in front of your feet? The distance?
Feet, 1 feet.
Okay. So if
1
you,
feet distance is short. It can be 3 to 4 feet distance.
Okay, very good. Now, let me ask you this. So what we've just done right now has to do with your personal space, okay? So to recap what you told me, you need a conference table in front of you, to your left and to your right, correct?
Yes.
You need a wall behind you,
yes.
right? And then maybe 2 feet ahead of your feet and a little bit less above your head. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. If you had to give a shape to that personal space, what shape would your personal space have?
My personal space is like a circle around me.
Okay, very good. All right. And does that circle have a color?
Silver golden.
Silver and gold?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's play a little bit with this. Let's see how this takes us. If I ask you to make that space into something where you feel really, really comfortable, would anything change? Would the color change? Would the shape change?
Yes.
If you were to make that very comfortable, how would it look like?
Are you asking that space, this circle around me of light? If
Would you change the shape, for example? How would you feel if rather than being a circle, it would be a cube, for example? Does it look better?
Transform in any shape? It's maybe in a shape of quadrilateral or diamond shape or like
Very good. Okay. And very good. And what color is that? Sorry. And what color is that diamond?
the diamond color. Sloan, let me imagine.
Mm.
If it is diamond, it's light purple.
Mm. Did you
If
say
it's a,
bright purple?
yes, if it's pentagon, it's light blue.
Hmm. So which one is it? Which one feels more comfortable? The pentagon or the diamond?
The pentagon.
The pentagon. So let's go with the pentagon. Okay, let's imagine yourself in the pentagon. Very good. Which is light blue, correct?
Yes.
Beautiful, Shanaz. You're doing a great job. So let's imagine yourself in that beautiful space, which is a pentagon in light blue. Okay.
Yes.
And right now, I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you to imagine yourself having your arms in the same position, like a boomerang, okay? So basically having your arms extending at your shoulder level like a boomerang, okay? Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And now I'm going to ask you to encircle your past and bring it on the left side of the boomerang. Put that line on the left side of the boomerang. Can you do that?
My past.
Yes. Can you
In any
encircle? Can you encircle your past from around you and just put that line over the left-hand side of the boomerang?
circle. Circle in what shape?
It's not circle. You said that your past was around you, surrounding you, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Very good. So I want you to, okay?
Okay,
Take
yes,
that
I can.
line from around you and just put it.
Actually I was did it before you said explain it. I did it before.
Well done. That's a good job. That's a good sign and that's a good job. It happens very often. Very good. So that line is already on top of the left-hand side of the boomerang, is it?
Yes, yes,
It's a straight line, correct?
yes.
Very good. Well done, Shanaz. And now I want you to bring the present at the same level of your shoulders and put it right here in front of you, connected to the past. Can you do that?
My right side.
No, not your right side, in front of you.
Okay.
Okay, connected to the left-hand side to the past, correct? Can you do that?
Okay.
Okay, is it connected? Like, you see this part of the boomerang here, the semicircle part of the boomerang? Okay, just put it here in front of you.
Hold edge. I'm holding the edge of boomerang.
You're holding the edge of the boomerang. Okay, very good. And now let's put your future, let's bring it from where it is in the shape that it is and turn it into a straight line as well that is connected to the present, but is going over the right-hand side of the boomerang. Can you do that?
Please repeat it.
Okay, so I want you to pick the future, okay, the future timeline, okay, which is to your, I'm not wrong, it's to your, I can't remember, to your left?
Left side of my body.
Very
It was
good. Very good. So I want you to pick it from where you are in, okay, in your mind, pick it from where it is and turn it into a line that is connected to the present, but it goes over the right-hand side of the boomerang.
okay.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Very good. So tell me if now you have a line that comes from someplace far away, okay, as far as you can see it, that comes over the left-hand side of the boomerang, then curves, it's the present in front of you and is connected then to a line on the right-hand side of the boomerang. All connected, all flowing. Is that it? Do you have it like that?
Yes.
Do you have your timelines in a boomerang shape?
Yes. It
Connect.
it's there little bit difficulty, but I can do it.
Very good. Well done, girl. And let me ask you something, or man, I don't know. I'll call you girl. Girl, it's always nice, don't you think? Okay. There's always a girly inside of us. Now, let me ask you something. Is that timeline connected, somehow connected to your personal space, that blue, light blue pentagon space? Is it touching your personal space?
Yes.
Very good. So now all I'm going to ask you, okay, is to thank your timelines for having agreed to work with you and change shape to a shape that is more beneficial to you. And when you thank them, notice what happens.
The shape of the bubble or pentagon?
No, the shape of the boomerang. When you thank your timelines for having agreed to recalibrate, to reshape the shape that they are now,
Okay.
what happens?
What happens to boomerang?
When you thank your timelines for having changed into a boomerang, yes.
Okay. My timeline change into boomerang. They are in my hand.
Very good. Okay. And what
thing with this, and if I want to hit a thing, I can it.
Very good.
Boomerang.
Very good. Okay, let me ask you something. What color are those? Is that timeline now? Is it one single color? Does it have different colors? Is the past different, a different color from the future and the present?
Its timeline has a multicolors.
Multicolor. Very good. All of it is multicolor.
Like the color of rainbow.
Very good. Okay, and may I ask you, how does it feel now that your timelines are recalibrated and that your personal space is a light blue pentagon? How do you feel about that?
I'm feeling empowered.
Very good. Oh my God, I've got goosebumps. Tanaz, thank you very much. I'm just going to ask your being, okay, your being that knows all, to allow this process to continue, to tweak whatever needs tweaking, to make sure that this exercise was beneficial to you, especially moving forward.
Thank you. It's very beneficial to know ourselves, to explore ourselves. It's very beneficial. Very good.
Thank you, Shanaz. It was a beautiful exercise on your part. Okay, well done, girl.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very good. So I hope that you appreciated the exercise, okay? And what Shanaz has just shared with me is actually very beautiful. If by changing these timelines, recalibrating them, which is what I did with her, she now feels more empowered. My God, what else can I wish for? I can't wish for anything else, because that's exactly what coaching is supposed to do. It's supposed to empower people, to take them, help them reach that point where they feel more empowered. Okay, so let's move on, because someone is telling me that the concept is not yet clear. So let's go back to what I've already shared with you and then develop on that. So what is the point of timelines? The point of timelines is actually to help us. The timelines have to do with the way that we encode or that we process time. Okay, and it also has to do with the way that we think and that we feel about time. Now, if you think of what Shanaz shared with me, she, in her case, she said that the past was around her. Okay. Now that very often, I don't know if this is something that Shanaz sometimes says about her life, but people who have that kind of timeline sometimes say that their lives are going round in circles. Okay. And if you remember that I told you that very often our language says so much more than we think it does. Okay. When someone says, oh, I feel like my life is going round in circles, or something like that, or I hit a vicious circle, or the same thing keeps happening again and again. No wonder the timeline, the past timeline is around. That's not how it's supposed to, that's not how time, the past, is supposed to be encoded. Okay. Yeah, words matter a lot. Okay. And that's exactly how my trainer, my Dick Harbers, started realizing that the two timelines that NLP, pure NLP talks about were not enough. And that map is not territory, that there's people whose timelines are completely different. I mean, actually, the universe is beautiful because I couldn't have asked for a better demonstration than what Shanaz gave us. Okay, because having a past timeline wrapped around her, and then, you know, her future was somehow entangled with her past, which is actually, for me, it makes a lot of sense, even if it doesn't make to other people. But I don't expect it to make it sense at this point for you. But for me, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so it's not where it was supposed to be. Okay, so what is the point of recalibrating the timelines? Is actually helping people have, for example, the lines in a way that they can access past that informs the present and informs the future in a way which is much, much easier. Okay, if you have your past entangled, like circling you, how the heck are you going to access certain things that you want to have access to inform your present and your future? Okay, so it's helping people processing time in a different way, so that way of processing time can be a much more beneficial way of people moving into the future. Okay, the reason why past timelines cannot be in a very beneficial position, it's either because people are avoiding the past, or there's things that will have not been processed in the past. Okay, so NLP, pure NLP, only talks about, like I said, two types of timelines. In time, which is the one where they say people usually see the past behind them, which they don't see at all. Okay, present inside them, future ahead of them, in front of them. Okay, that's one. In time, that's what it's called in pure NLP, in time timeline. Then we have the through time, which is usually when people see their past to their left, okay, in the present in front of them, and the future to their right. But in which one of these categories would Shanaz's timeline fit? None. That's exactly why I said I don't want to give you any example of how pure NLP talks about timelines, because I don't want to plant seeds in your mind. And I'm glad I didn't. I know for some reason I seem to know what I'm doing. Okay, because if I had said that this is how timelines are, the chances are that maybe, you know, I would have planted a seed in her mind that she was going, or she might have been really confused, saying, but how does this work? I mean, mine is nowhere where you're saying that it should be. Well, exactly, it shouldn't, it's not necessarily like that. Okay, and again, I couldn't have asked for a better example for you to understand. It depends, you know, I don't know, because it's not my map, but I would have to ask Shanaz about that. Although right now it's completely irrelevant because the timelines have been recalibrated. So, so sometimes people actually say things that they don't even, for themselves, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But since when does the subconscious make sense? Okay. So it could be explored, but in quantum healing and even in NLP, that's why when Shanaz was going into the story, okay, which is actually her life story, I said, okay, no need for story. What I want is the structure. I don't work with story, I work with structure. Sometimes, how did she get empowered by this exercise? We would have to ask her. That's the way she feels. Who am I to judge the way she feels? What I'm happy is that she feels empowered because her timelines are now in a more beneficial way for her. Okay. We want to remember my previous session, okay, where I said everything is energy. Okay. So you change the energy. Yeah. This kind of work works with energy, changing energies. Does she feel empowered now? Good. That's because there was a change. What the change was, for me, it really doesn't matter. What I'm happy is that she feels empowered now. So that's you know, that's the outcome that I want for the people that I work with. Okay, how it happened, you know, if we bear in mind what I shared in the previous session, it's an energy shift, right? Which I talked about quantum healing principles. Okay. And remember that I keep quoting Einstein, which says doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, it's insanity. So Einstein knew about quantum physics. He knew about physics, right? He even says, this is not philosophy, this is physics. Okay. And so that's exactly what happened here. We changed the way things were, which apparently weren't working for her. The moment we change it, the energy changed, she feels empowered. That's all I need. Okay, very good. Because usually colors also have, you know, when you look at red, how do you feel? When you look at pink, how do you feel? When you look at green, how do you feel? Colors also come with energy. Different people might give a different and might interpret or ascertain a different energy to different colors. Okay, for some people, red is passion. For other people is aggression. Okay, so again, map is not territory. It's not my place to judge. My place is being curious and working with people's territory. That's what I keep saying. And what I did here, the exercise that I did here, was a good example of how I went with curiosity, okay? No judgment whatsoever. And just worked with Shanaz's territory. Okay, that's all I did. And she felt empowered at the end. Am I happy for her? Yes, I am, because that's my job. Okay, that's exactly my job. So obviously also in these workshops, I will not be able to share with you everything that quantum healing entails. Okay, so that would take a much in-depth process for explaining the nitty-gritty of quantum healing. But I mean, I'm already giving you like the general guidelines. Go in the spirit of curiosity. Don't think you know what the person is feeling or thinking or experiencing, etc. No, let's go in with the spirit of curiosity. No judgment whatsoever. Let's work with the person's territory. Let's do what we do, which is facilitate the processes that we have at our disposal, and let's see what happens. Well, right? That's it. Be a good practitioner. Oh, yes. Now, can a curious mind be a good practitioner? Yes, of course. That's what it takes. I would rather take a curious person than a judgmental person. I had this discussion yesterday with another person who is a coach, but has a completely different approach to coaching than mine, because there are many different ways of coaching. Although I must admit that what coaching is for me is what I'm sharing with you. Okay, if someone comes and tells me, "Oh, you're feeling that way because," really? How do you know? Are you inside my body? Are you inside my mind? How do you know? You know, I'm going to give you an example, which was the example that I gave yesterday, and which is a metaphor. Okay, this reminds me when I wanted to buy my car, and I went to 2 different car dealerships. In one, I go in and I say that I want to buy a car, and the salesperson starts saying, "Oh, you know, we have this one, which is, you know, it looks like a bonbon. It's a brown car. It's so beautiful." And I'm looking at him and I say, okay, so he's already decided what is beautiful, and he hasn't asked me, what kind of color are you looking for? So, you know, am I the one buying the car, or is he the one buying the car? That was one. Then, obviously, I didn't go back, right? I didn't buy the car there. I went to another one. And what happened? I get there. I managed to explain a couple of things as to what I wanted. And what does the salesperson tell me? Oh, I wouldn't go for that, because then when you go on the highway, the car doesn't really develop. And I look at her and I'm thinking, but how do you know if I go on the highway? And do you know if I want the car for the highway? So how did you decide? How did you decide that that will not, the car that I want, it won't be good enough for me, because when I go on the highway, it won't develop. It really won't develop. Who's buying the car again? Did you ask me? Do you commute on the highway frequently? She didn't even ask me that question, but in her mind, that car wouldn't suit me because it wouldn't develop on the highway. Hello? Right? So what about asking me questions? So what color do you like? What color is your favorite color? What color would you like the car to be? What do you use the car for? How many kilometers do you do a day, or in a week, or in a month? And what kind of things are you looking for in the car? No questions asked, just being told what I was supposed to buy based on what? Whose opinion? Who was buying the car? That's it. Does that make sense? Exactly. Now, judgmental person is not a curious person. So if you're judgmental, you're not curious. You think you know it all, right? You're not asking questions. That's not the spirit. Okay, the spirit is actually working with the person's territory. Let me give you another example, and this example is actually going to be an example which has to do with coaching, okay, because it happened to me in a coaching situation, and there where I must admit that I wasn't thinking, okay? So I had this coachee that every now and again would tell me, I'm having trouble eating. I'm having trouble eating. And what did I think? She's not eating because she probably has some sort of eating disorder, or maybe she's very anxious and she's not eating. Why? Where? What map was I coming from? Mine. Because when I get anxious, I lose appetite. Okay? And because not eating usually is related to, has to do with some sort of eating disorder. But one day, I must have been enlightened in some way. And I was having a session, and she was telling me again, I'm having trouble eating. And I asked her, but what's stopping you from eating? And she says, oh, I don't want to spend time in the kitchen with my family when they're eating. So I'm not eating, I'm avoiding meals. And I go like, oh my word. This is so, yeah. So it was such an eye-opener. I was coming from my map, but her map was completely different. Fortunately, on that day, the universe was with me and actually shook me and said, Maria, ask a question. Don't go with your map. Okay, the conversation wasn't like that, but it's like I asked the question. And lo and behold, it was nothing related to what I had thought, that I'm not eating was not related to what I had thought. That session took a completely different turn, because now I had something I was working with a territory now. Okay. I was not coming from mine. I was working with hers. What if I hadn't asked the question and would be, forcing something which was not her territory? How far would we have gone? Well, what exactly? How would I served that person? How would I have? How would I have helped that person? Would I have helped that person at all? You ask questions to find their map. You ask questions. I invite you to go back at some point to the sessions that we've had together and pay attention to what I'm doing when I'm taking someone through an exercise, a process, okay? And listen to what I'm doing. I'm just asking questions. And if you find at any point that I fed the person something, okay, please let me know, because I have to watch that and wake up, because I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Or I want to avoid that because I shouldn't have done that. Is judgmental. So basically, I want to avoid that and I want to improve, obviously. Okay. For example, I made sure to watch the last session, and I realized that there are things that I can do better. Okay. And that's what I want. I'm growing. So I want to become better and better, improve my skills. And that's that. So it's by asking questions. Remember that we talked about the meta model is actually using the meta model quite a bit. Okay, so for example, when my coachee told me I can't eat, or I'm having trouble eating again, okay, I asked, what's stopping you from eating? That's a question. That's me in my spirit of curiosity. And lo and behold, what does she tell me? Because I don't want to sit at the table with my family, because they keep criticizing me, because we keep having fights. So I'm not eating. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. But it's all about questions. It's all about asking questions. Okay. And sometimes we have to ask people, what does that mean? Which we will get there at some point. Okay, so I hope you feel a little bit more enlightened as to what the timelines are like. The idea, or what we're doing here, it's not necessarily just the timelines, is what we're doing here. And the way quantum healing works, being informed by NLP. So NLP works with timelines, but what happens, quantum healing took the timelines one step further and explores them based on the territory of the person that we're working with. We don't say, oh, there are these two kinds of timelines. Which one are you? No, we do what I did with Shahnaz. Okay, and the idea is to allow people to rearrange the way that they look at time, the way they think and feel about time, and allowing them to have the past more accessible so that the past can inform the present and the future. Now, obviously, I didn't do the whole process here because we haven't got time to do the whole thing. Okay, but I brought it. That's why in the end I said, let me ask your being to do what your being knows it's necessary. You do whatever the necessary tweaks so that your timelines can serve you in the best way moving forward into the future. Okay, so I'm inviting her energy to keep working and do whatever it needs to do so that those timelines stay in place and are the most beneficial to her moving forward. Okay, if she feels empowered at the end of the exercise, I can only be thankful that she does. Okay, and maybe one of these days, in a few weeks, she won't mind letting me know how things are going, if anything changed. Okay, good. Now let's move on into, let's move on to another subject, which is one of my favorite topics in all coaching. And why is that? Because, number one, very often we believe that our identity is outside ourselves. Okay, we're male or female, or if you want, we're a man or a woman, we're a student or a teacher. We have a house, we have a car, we have children, we are parents, we are not parents, and so on and so forth. So very often we define ourselves, we define our identity with things outside ourselves. Is that really who we are? No. So what exactly are the basis of our identity? So first, our identity is inside. Okay, it's who we are inside, not what we have outside ourselves. Okay, if our identity were what we have outside ourselves, some people that have everything they want outside themselves would be the happiest people in the world. Are they? Not really, not necessarily. Some may be, but very often they're not. Okay, because very often they have so much going on outside, but inside themselves, they feel dead. Okay. And I mean, I don't know if you've heard this, but sometimes people say, what? Like, for example, let's say that, I don't know if you're aware, for example, that, okay, let me think, I have to think a little bit here. Some 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, 2-3 years ago, there was an American girl who became Miss United States of America. And she was a Black girl, and she became Miss America. Actually, I think it was the year that Miss America was a Black woman, Miss Universe was a Black woman, and Miss World was also a Black woman. And Miss America was moved to New York, she started career on TV. She lived in this, I'm not 100% sure whether it was a penthouse, but something along those lines in a very posh area of New York. So it seems to a lot of people that she had everything going for her. And yet, one day, she decided to jump from whatever floor she lived and take her life. And people said, oh, she had everything going for her. And yet, she committed suicide. So outside, it seemed like everything was hunky-dory, but inside, something was not in balance. Something was not being met, okay? And that's what I mean by our identity is not outside ourselves, inside ourselves. And basically, our identity is based on our beliefs and our values. And if there's some sort of imbalance in terms of our beliefs and our values, needless to say that something's got to give. We're not going to feel happy with our lives. And I know that for a fact because I was there myself at one point in my life where my needs and my beliefs were somehow not met, and I lost track of who I was. And therefore, I fell into depression. Now, looking back, I can completely identify what was not being met. But at that point, I didn't have a clue. I felt the way I felt. I had no idea how I felt, why I felt the way I felt. That's what I mean. I knew how I felt, but I didn't know why I was feeling the way that I was feeling until I started this process of coaching, of getting certified in different things related to coaching. And then it became quite clear to me why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Okay. And these days, I make sure, knowing what I know, I make sure that my life is aligned with my values and my beliefs, because otherwise it won't make sense. Okay. So this is why beliefs is such an amazing thing to me, because you can have empowering beliefs or disempowering beliefs. And very often what stops us in our tracks is actually having certain disempowering beliefs. And where exactly do these disempowering beliefs come from? Very often from our upbringing. And I've already mentioned this in the previous session, okay? It has to do with our upbringing. It has to do with the programming that we get from society, from sometimes even our formal education at school, and so on and so forth. Because very often, and I'll give you another example of what I'm saying, very often we have people trying to put us into the mold that is not our own, okay? Which is not taking into consideration who we are from the inside out. Okay, and therefore people don't feel comfortable in their skin, in their lives. So what is the example that I can give you? I could give you so many, but let's go with some work that I do in terms, for example, of careers. It's quite interesting how people often choose careers. Again, the choice is often made from outside in. We put our focus of, oh, okay, so what's trending? What is a job, a career that will withstand time, for example, or that whenever I get to the end of my degree will be in demand? People don't even ask themselves, okay, is this something that I want to do? Does this agree with the person that I am? You know, so people often make choices only to find themselves. And I'm saying this because I work quite a bit with people who come to points in their lives that they realize that they're doing something that they don't like. And then they come to me to see if I can help them find a career that they're passionate about. Okay, so they made those choices based on what the family said, what they thought it would be trending in society at a certain point, maybe based on what some teachers advised, and so on and so forth, only to come to a point where they're not feeling comfortable in that job. It doesn't appeal to them. It doesn't, okay? And when I start digging into their values and so on and so forth, it starts their passions. What are they passionate about? What are the things that they do that they completely lose track of time because they love it so much? Okay. And I start comparing what they're doing with that, which I'm unearthing by working with them. And I look at the two things and I'm going like, how could they possibly feel aligned with what they're doing? It's got nothing to do with them. And I can even give you an example of myself, my own example, right? I love doing this, which I do. I love teaching, I do. But there were things in teaching that I couldn't stand, namely paperwork. I can't stand red tape, okay? And I can't stand losing time in, for example, meetings, staff meetings, where you're discussing what I usually call, because it's a Portuguese expression, probably doesn't make sense in English, but the sex of the angels, okay? I mean, meetings, staff meetings, debating things which are not being in any way productive to what I do inside the classroom. And then I get home tired, and I haven't got time to actually do what I love doing, which is preparing sessions, preparing classes, being creative, making sure that whatever I'm going to teach the following day or in 2 days is actually something fun, and which will be fun and a fun learning experience for my students and for myself, because I have to be having fun. I have to be in the right energy to be able to actually teach. Make sure that my energy is contagious to my students, right? And so I was completely tired because I had to go to so many staff meetings. I couldn't do what I liked doing in teaching. And it came to a point that I left because what I was doing was not in tune with the person that I am, with my values, with of diversity, for example, which is something that I love, and creativity, which is something that I love, because I was spending too much time filling in paperwork, and I was spending too much time in meetings, not having time to do the things that I really like in teaching. Does this make sense? Okay, so this has to do, with what is outside not being aligned with who you are inside. And that's exactly where the imbalances start happening. It's when we are not in tune with the person that we are from the inside out. Okay? So these disempowering beliefs are often what stops us in our tracks. Okay? So Henry Ford says a very interesting thing, which is whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Okay, so this empowering belief, this empowering or disempowering beliefs, it doesn't matter whether you believe if you believe that you can do it, you'll do it. If you believe that you can't do it, you won't do it. Okay, so that's the importance of beliefs. And attention, because beliefs also have to do a lot with focus. Am I focusing on the positive or am I focusing on the negative? Okay, that's the thing. Okay, that's actually, that's such a good question, Paris. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go. Let's have a look here. So I'm going to share 2 videos with you. Okay, this video is a little bit longer. This video is a little bit. However, this video is a little bit longer. But I think it's actually quite interesting in the way it tackles the idea of empowering and disempowering beliefs, okay, which is very much why I'm using this video. By the way, this gentleman is Bruce Lipton, PhD. If you remember from our previous session, one of the books that I recommended was The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, PhD. Now, this is the Bruce Lipton PhD that I mentioned in the previous session. And I brought this, this video because it's, in my opinion, a very good video to illustrate what I'm talking about in terms of empowering and disempowering beliefs. Okay, so off we go to watching this. It's rough, as you can see, it's roughly 10 minutes. So bear with me, okay?
There's one story I want to talk about for this May newsletter. And that is the story of Angelina Jolie. Now, she's made big waves across the country about informing the public that she went through a double mastectomy as a preventive surgery to prevent a future cancer condition. Now, what do I think about stuff like that? I know what she thinks about it, but what do I think about it? Well, you already know what I think about it, and that is we're dealing with something called the biology of belief. And the significance about the biology of belief is that our thoughts and our consciousness are really shaping our genetic expression. She comes to the public as a big representative of the Hollywood industry, and a lot of people follow stars and their lives. And so it's an unfortunate situation, the way I see it, that she stands up and advertises her preventive surgery. Now, let's clear the word right here. Mastectomy sounds so clinically sound and clean, but the truth is this: when one cuts off their breast for no reason at the current moment, then that really accounts for what we might call, here's the word, very huge, mutilation. Why would you cut yourself up? And she says, well, because 87% of the women that have this particular gene are really liable to have breast cancer. Well, let's talk about this 87% for a second. Actually, I'd rather talk about the 13%. How can 13% of the people with the exact same genes not get the cancer versus 87% with the gene that gets the cancer? We focus on those with the cancer, but we fail to talk about, hey, there are many people out there that have the so-called cancer gene and do not express the breast cancer. What is the difference between the two groups? Well, the primary difference is the biology of belief. It's really what your attitude and your perceptions are all about, because this is what shapes our genetics. And we know the new science is now called epigenetics. And I'm really excited because in the last 2 years, there's actually a new branch of epigenetics called behavioral epigenetics, which is how our perceptions and our life experiences and our beliefs alter our genetic expression. So, hey, the biology of belief, which was so far out to many scientists just in 2005, is now actually a field of science unto its own, behavioral epigenetics. Well, Angelina Jolie is a prime example of what is the consequence of behavioral epigenetics, and that is your perceptions and beliefs are shaping your genetics. Well, now, belief, and this is really clear and it's very solid. Her belief is having the genes that she's talking about predisposes her to the cancer, and her belief is, I'm going to get the cancer if I don't eliminate my breasts at this point. Is really the threat of this cancer, which may take her life and separate her from her wonderful children. So her motivation was prevent that future death by taking her breasts and removing them at the current time. Well, let's understand something. Belief is profound. Would I suggest to Angelina that she not do that mastectomy? Well, yes, I would suggest it, but I would also have to provide a bit of an educational background. But let's look at where she's coming from. Her belief is so strong that she can get this cancer and die. What would I do in that situation? Well, she's not the first woman that I talked to about this. I remember one in particular who was so set on the fact that she was going to get cancer. Her father's a doctor, her brother's a doctor, her mother died of the cancer, her grandmother died of the cancer, and she was so committed to the fact that she was going to get this cancer, she didn't do a mastectomy. That when I started to speak with her, I realized that there was no changing her belief. That was a solid and hard belief. Well, I tried at first to suggest that she not do it. I have to tell you the truth. In the end of our conversation, I said, I do recommend that you are the one that should follow through on a mastectomy. And the reason is this. Her belief was unshakable. She already knew she was going to get the cancer. So if she's not going to change her belief or her attitude about this cancer, then she must follow her belief. Angelina followed her belief, and this is necessary for her to do because if she's not going to change her mind, then she's really opening herself up to the cancer. My concern is this, is that there are many women out there in the world that are looking at her story, listening to her vision about the cancer, and are buying into her resolution. This is a little upsetting because what it basically does is it commits people to believe that cancer is inevitable in their lives and this is the only way out. This is a belief issue. We must change this. And just to get an idea about how significant it is to change your beliefs, there's a wonderful story that we should understand in regard to cancer, breast cancer in Angelina's regard. And this is a story by a woman called Anita Morjani, and it's published by Hay House, and it's a book called Dying to Be Me. And very significantly is this. Anita had cancer for 4 years and was in a state of dying. And in her last days of life, she was no longer eating. Her body had become emaciated as she was self-digesting her own system for nourishment. And then she started to fall into a coma. The coma then sent her to the hospital, and her doctor for 4 years said to her husband, yes, this is it. This is the end. There's nothing more we can do. Significance is Anita had a near-death experience, found an afterlife reality, and in that afterlife reality, recognized the whole story of biology belief. She found that the upbringing and through her Hindu family actually challenged her life because she didn't really conform to her culture, and this caused a lot of self-deprecation and belief about her not being worthy. In addition, she also had two very close friends who were dying of cancer, and the fear of their cancer in her life also promoted an illness in her, so she ends up with cancer. She goes to the out-of-body experience, and in that point realizes, yes, programming and beliefs led to this cancer. She had a choice in the story that she reveals about either staying in that afterlife or coming back, and she chose to come back. The most amazing part of the story is when she realized in her near-death experience that her cancer was really due to life experiences and programming, she had the opportunity when she came back to change that belief. What's the most amazing part of the story is when she came back from this totally near-death experience that actually her physician said that was final for her, she did come back, and within 4 days, the cancer was completely gone from her body. All of this really points to the emphasis of belief and programming and attitude. And this is why it's so important for people to recognize, yes, Angelina has the belief and the programming that these genes are going to shape the future of her life. If that's what her belief is, then it's necessary for her to follow through. However, I would like to encourage people to consider other beliefs and consider other understandings about the nature of cancer and our psychology. Because once we empower ourselves that we do not have to be the victims of cancer, then we can change our lives. And we don't have to go through the mutilation of our body as a means of prevention or protection. And so, yes, Angelina for herself did the right thing, but I think she did a disservice for the general public because she's encouraging people on the fence about their own issues of cancer genes to follow through on the mastectomy idea as a way of saving her life. It's unfortunate because what we really need are more spokespeople like Anita Morjani. to reveal that cancer is a belief, an attitude, and a story that we tell ourselves, and that we do not have to go through the fate of our genes because we are masters of our genes. We control our genetics and our heredity through epigenetic mechanisms. And now, hey, thank God, science has now come out with the field called behavioral epigenetics, which I personally call the biology of belief, to reveal we are not victims unless our belief system says we are. So I'm just leaving you with this story. Before you run into rash action, consider the other possibilities about life. Consider how powerful you are in controlling the unfolding of your own life. And if you have doubts about that, please pick up the biology of belief. And
Very good. So I'm not going to go very much into epigenetics and so on and so forth. But again, like last week, I'm going to invite you to read the two books that I suggested. Number one, When the Body Says No, by Dr. Gabor Mate, a Canadian doctor, and The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, so that you can understand in depth what he is talking about, okay? And what he wrote in the book is not the consequence of an opinion of his, is actually based on research that he was doing back in 1957, give or take, okay? So he is writing that book from the point of view of someone who was a researcher, performed a certain type of research, and as a consequence came to certain conclusions, which then were peer reviewed. So it's not like he had an opinion or he came to a conclusion based on his research, and that's about it. He was the only one. No, so much so that today we have a field of biology which is called epigenetics. And within epigenetics, we have behavioral epigenetics, which is what he writes about in the book, The Biology of Belief. So this is what I was saying at the beginning of our session. I've got something here that addresses the question that someone asked me: can you address the question of cancer, diabetes, etc.? Again, please read these two books, When the Body Says No and The Biology of Belief, and then you'll understand better, because it's amazing, okay? And you might ask yourself, like some of these people actually also sometimes say, why is it that we don't know that? Well, I can't tell you that. I have my opinion, but that's my opinion. But there's a lot of research out there that actually proves what he is saying, that we are so much more powerful than we actually think. And if we were taught what he teaches and what you can read in When the Body Says No by Dr. Gabor Mate, maybe we could understand how powerful we are, that we are not victims. Remember, like I said in the previous session, we are co-creators of our reality with the universe, okay? So, again, and this takes me back to that quote that I gave you just a while ago, which is Henry Ford's quote: whether you believe you can or you can't, you will be absolutely right, okay? So that's that. Now, I can also give you an example of something that is along the lines of what Dr. Bruce Lipton is sharing here, which is recently, I mean, I have two situations in my life, right? Which I have many situations in my life of people in my family who had cancer. And as you know, probably if you've been with me since the beginning of the course, my mom passed away recently due to cancer. Before my mom actually found out she had cancer, which took her away in a measure of 4 months, My sister had been going through chemo and radiotherapy treatments for breast cancer, for that matter. And I can promise you that I worked with my sister, right? When she got the diagnosis, I asked her, would you be interested in working with me? I do believe that I have tools that can help you deal with what you're dealing with. So I'm making the offer, it's up to you, right? Because there's no way of forcing people into processes like this. Either they're ready or they're not, and willing, or they're not ready and willing. And so she actually told me, why not? I've got nothing to lose. And we start working together. What is the point of this? Well, the point of this is that if you look at my sister today, you wouldn't say that she went through what she went through for 6 months. You wouldn't say that she went through chemo or she went through radiotherapy. Also, she had a goal. Her goal by coming to doing coaching with me was that she wanted to keep her autonomy. She didn't want to be in a state, in a physical state, where she couldn't take care of herself, right? Did that happen? Yes, that did happen. So she went through the chemo and the radio. She did lose her hair. She did lose her eyebrows, and so on and so forth. But during chemo and radiotherapy, she never, ever got nauseous. She never, ever threw up. And she would stay at my mom for 2 days after the treatment, and just to make sure that, you know, if she needed help, she would have the help that she needed at hand. And after those 2 initial days, after those 48 hours, after those 48 hours, she would drive herself home and stay at home for the rest of the time until the next treatment came, and until those 2 days were gone, and she would get herself in the car again and drive back home. She never stopped driving, never, throughout the 6 months that she was in doing the chemo and radiotherapy. Now, during the treatment, that's what I wanted to say. And what else is irrelevant here? So she was asked by the doctors to do a genetic profile because they wanted to see the genetic profile. And what happened? Nothing came up in genetics. So where does this come from? It's not genetic. She did the exam. So where does this come from? Read the 2 books that I've recommended, and after you read them, you'll probably understand. What I'm talking about. Okay, things are not necessarily often what we are led to believe. Okay, so yeah, if nothing else, I hope this is a word of that will allow you to start questioning yourself. What is it that she knows that I don't know? Okay, and I hope that this will be in some way, it gives you hope. Okay, because I'm telling you, we're a lot more powerful than we are led to believe. And belief is actually the question. Now, let's carry on because I'm running out of time. So I want to do one more exercise, and I won't be able to do everything that I would like. I'm putting 2 topics in one session. Okay, so if I have to carry on in our next session, carry over something else that I wanted to do today that it's obvious that I'm not going to be able to do given the time. And because I honestly don't want you to, yes, exactly, how to go to the other side of fear. Okay, Paras, you're on. So if you would be so kind as to unmute yourself, this is it. You didn't lose the chance.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Okay, my darling. So let's, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes, yes.
Very good. I am. So I hope you are. Very good. So you've already asked me two things here. Let me see if I can find this.
Yeah, one was if we know we can do, but we are afraid of doing it.
Exactly. There you go. What if we feel we can, but we are afraid of it? Let me start by telling you that this is known as, and you probably know this already, cognitive dissonance. Okay, which is when your conscious awareness believes in one thing, but at the subconscious level, your subconscious believes something else. Okay, and guess what? Unfortunately, the subconscious rules over the conscious mind. Okay, and I know that you couldn't be here in the previous session, but if you have the chance of watching the video, please do, because
Yes, I will after the session.
because I do address this question of what happens when, you know, we believe something consciously, but at the subconscious level, it's not aligned. The subconscious and the conscious are not aligned. So we go into cognitive dissonance, and therefore we are going to get whatever the subconscious mind believes. Okay, because the subconscious mind is so much more powerful, often to our detriment. So what I want to ask you is, you know, number one, I actually wrote here fear, anxiety, stress. I should have put them in a different order. It should have been stress, anxiety, fear, and limiting beliefs. Okay. And after we go through the exercise, I'll then explain why that should have been the order: stress, anxiety, fear, and limiting beliefs. Now, Paris, tell me, what are you afraid of?
Failure, maybe.
Ah, okay. And why are you afraid of failure?
I feel like I'm already way behind the thing I should have supposed to be. Like I feel like I lag behind my peers.
Okay. And what does that mean about you being behind what you think you should be? What does that mean about you?
What if that I'm a procrastinator?
Okay. And if you are a procrastinator, what does that say about you?
Then again, I feel like now we are going in circles, that maybe laziness or maybe fear let me push thing forward, and then again this thing goes in circle and I'm unable to do the thing I'm actually supposed to do.
Okay, and if you're not able to do what you're supposed to do, what does that mean about you?
That I'm incapable of doing it, but
And
I don't want.
okay.
But I don't want to believe in this thing that I'm incapable of it.
Okay, and if you're incapable of doing that thing, what does that mean about you?
That I am a weak person.
If you're a weak, and if you are a weak person, what does that say about you?
That I need healing. Maybe.
What? Sorry.
That I need some boost, maybe, or maybe some push, or confidence. No, not confidence. Encouragement from someone.
Okay, and if you need boost and encouragement from someone, what does that mean about you?
No, actually, it doesn't mean anything about me. I don't think I need that. I think I have that inside me, but it's just I just can't get over it. Oh, but sometimes I do the things when they are like when I'm fully pressurized, when I have a certain timeline I have to deliver that. In those cases, I don't think I am a procrastinator, but when the timeline is vague, I push, keep on pushing stuff. I don't
Okay,
know.
let's do this. I could tell you something about that, but let's give a step back to that point where you said, I'm a weak person. How do you feel about weak people?
No, but I don't. How I feel about weak people.
How do you feel about weak people? Do you know any weak person in your life?
Uh, no, I don't think. Right now, I can't think of anyone. But
Okay.
again, I do. I so much strongly believe in zodiac signs. Like, not that they affect any future or whatsoever. I don't believe in horoscope, but I feel like my star sign is Aries, and that we are fair, like we are fearless. So the thought of me being weak is against my own beliefs. My body does not, or my mind or body does not want to accept that I am weak. So if when you are asking me,
We've already established that one thing is what you believe consciously, and quite something else is what you believe subconsciously. So what I'm asking you is, when you look at a weak person, okay, what do you think about it, about the person? What does it mean to you, someone being weak?
being completely alone, having nobody to share the success or good things with,
Okay.
those are the.
And if someone is completely alone and doesn't have anyone to share their success with, what does that say about that person?
I I think I would feel bad about that person. I can't say anything about that person.
Okay, and if you could, what would you say?
That you can just stand up for once and keep walking. You don't have to run. Someday you would have that energy to
That's
run.
the advice that you give that person. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, if you could say what you believe about weak people, what would you say?
What I believe about weak people, that they're not actually weak.
Pardon?
That they're not actually weak. The way they feel like maybe it's
That's what you think. That's what you consciously know. Again, my question is,
Hmm.
what is it that means weak? What does it mean to be a weak person?
to be not able to achieve your goal.
And if you can't achieve your goals, what does that mean? If someone can't achieve their goals?
That they know they need to work on their goal.
Because if they don't, what does it mean about them?
That means they are weak.
They are what?
They are incapable of doing.
Okay, and if they are incapable of doing something, what does that mean about a person that is incapable of doing something?
That they are meant to do something else.
Okay, but if they can't do something else and they keep doing the same thing, what does that say about them?
I think this might sound very extreme, but then that means that person does not have to exist.
Does not have what, sorry?
Like a person shouldn't exist if they can't do
Sorry, I'm
anything.
having trouble understanding, because let me
Like,
just
that,
close this window. Wait. So
yeah.
let's go back to that which you were telling me, sorry. If you're saying, if that person doesn't seem to get to where that person wants to be, then what exactly does that say about that person in that situation?
The incapability.
And what does that mean? The incapability, what does that mean about the person? Being a person who's incapable of getting to where she wants to be, well, or he wants to be, well, what does that mean about the person?
They are weak.
They are
Weak.
very good. Okay, so you very much going around.
Yes, that's it. Yes, I feel like I'm going in circles.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No problem. We could explore this further if we had a little bit more time. But the point is, there's more to this belief, but you've already come to the belief that someone is weak. Okay, if it's not doing, if it's procrastinating, if it's not achieving its goals, that person is weak. I do believe that there is an even deeper underlying belief here, but this belief alone is enough to stop you, or to stop you believing in something, that you can do something else. As much as you say that, oh, because it doesn't have to be that way. Yes, from a conscious point of view, I know you know that. But the problem is with beliefs is actually that beliefs don't follow the rule of consciousness. Okay, they follow the subconscious mind. Okay, so, and often we have a belief consciously, but the subconscious is pulling us, dragging us away from that belief, because at the subconscious level, you have a different one, which is much stronger. And here we could, like I said, we could dig deeper, but basically what you're saying is someone that is procrastinating and is not achieving a goal, it's weak. So let me say something. If you believe, if someone believes that he or she is weak, how is that person is going to be motivated to do what it takes to get to where the person wants to get?
Yes, how would they go?
Pardon?
How would they go if they keep on believing the same thing?
I mean, you know, if you believe that something, that you are weak, and you in general, I'm not saying you personally, which I could, because that's what you're giving me in terms of the exercise. So you do have that belief, okay? Consciously, you know that's not true, but the problem is what you believe at your subconscious level, okay? So if that is the subconscious belief, what is the motivation to actually go about doing whatever it is? Right? So the thing is, we would need to change this belief at the subconscious level. Okay? Because for as long as this belief is there, that you are going round in circles.
Can
Okay?
I do that on my own? Like, is there any way a person can change that?
In our next session, because we're running out of time, in our next session, I'm going to start with a belief update, which is very much what I wanted to do. Okay, but because I brought I merged two, not merged, but I brought two topics together in one session. I won't be able to do what I wanted to do, which is the belief update. Okay, but we will be doing that in our next session. Okay, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't mind that you come back to actually then complete the process. Okay, and I'll do what I do in terms of belief updates, and then you will have the recording to go back to the exercise and do it as many times as you want, and also understand how it works more or less. Okay, so as I said in my previous session, usually my goal when taking someone through a coaching process, which is not what we're not doing a coaching process here, I'm taking you through a coaching exercise. Okay, but when I do the whole process, QH1, QH2, the goal is always to allow people to become autonomous, okay? Which means being able to deal with whatever comes their way because they've learned how to do it, okay? So yes, answering your question, you can do it yourself, okay? But it takes a little bit of practice and I've got a lot of my coachees that once they've gone through the process, they can do it themselves. Okay, that's why they go and they don't come back. Sometimes they do because there's something that comes up, but okay. So in our next session, we'll go into it. To finish quickly, just let me tell you why I say stress, anxiety, fear, limiting beliefs, because stress and anxiety are always related to a fear. We get stressed, we get anxious because there is an underlying fear and there is a limiting belief underlying a fear. Okay, so they're all related. So stress, anxiety means that there's fear, and fear means that there is a limiting belief underlying all of those. Okay, so this is me and what we managed to achieve today. I'm already gone 2 minutes over the time, but I hope that you go away with a better understanding both of timelines and beliefs. And like I said, in our next session, I will make sure to show you how we go from identifying a limiting belief or disempowering belief, like I prefer calling it, and actually help people overcome a disempowering belief, which I must admit, it takes some doing. When they are deep down, when they ingrain deep down in our subconscious mind, it takes some doing. It takes some doing, overcoming it. Okay, so it takes, if you know how the brain works, it takes some practice and repetition to get rid of it, but it is possible. And sometimes it's actually quick. And going through a coaching process is not the only way. Sometimes we read a book and poof, suddenly the beliefs change. Or sometimes we're watching a film or even a documentary and it goes away because there's a reframing. That's what we call it in coaching. Okay, we start looking at it from a different perspective. And when we manage to do that and it sinks into the subconscious level, amazing. Okay. But beliefs are definitely some of the things that stop us the most. And that's why, for me, I'm so passionate about working with belief updates. Okay, because I am well aware what disempowering beliefs can do to you, to us. Okay. And this concludes my session today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if my co-host wants to join me here, we can bring the session to an end.
Thanks, Maria.
You're welcome.
Thanks to all of you. You have any feedback about today's session? You can on your mic. If anyone want to share feedback about today's session, you can write down on chat box or open their mic. And you also book appointment with Ma'am Maria about your personal issue, and about appointment detail you can get on my WhatsApp number. We provide all of you all detail.
Okay, thank you very much for your feedback, and I hope to see you next.
Thanks a lot.
Have a lovely evening. Okay, looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks,
for
Maria.
our
Thanks to all
last
of you.
session.
Yeah.
So bid farewell, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.